main focus is mental health and community mental health services. Our goal is to bring mental health services to everyone and to remove the stigma around mental health and make it more accessible to everyone. So our goal basically is to provide a lot of education, provide treatment, counseling services, medication management as well. So these are some of the services we do provide. Later on, we'll talk a little bit about the various individual services we provide as well. So if you know someone who would benefit from any of our services, please feel free to invite them to some of our webinars or also to our website as well. So thank you.
So good evening to all our participants. We are super excited having you this evening once again. And Neurovoc Africa is doing this in collaboration with Accra Zenith Lions Club, Accra Hills Lions Club, and then Takoradi Aboazi Lions Club. You're officially welcome to our evening webinar. This evening, we chose the topic trauma bonding and toxic relationship. Reason being that as a clinician, it is now becoming a thing. I don't want to use the word pandemic, but it's like a lot of people facing mental health issues as a result of this trauma bonding and toxic relationship they find themselves in. So we thought that as a mental health organization, we'll bring this on board, we will create awareness and tell people where to go for services where they need be. That is why we chose this topic. We would want all our participants to understand the invisible chains that sometimes bind us as individuals. You might think you are in love with somebody, you might think you are going the extra mile to make things work, but unfortunately, you are in an invisible chain that is seriously holding you from all dimensions, physical, psychological, emotional, and sometimes even spiritual. Therefore, the need for this topic. So your presenters this evening are myself, Gloria Sarkodie Adu. I'm a counseling psychologist and then a community mental health and rehabilitation specialist. I currently work with Neurovoc Africa as their CEO. And then I also work with Dodowa Hospital Ghana Health Service and the Lion with Accra Zenith as well. And then I have Michael Asakuyeboa. He is a licensed clinical counselor, a vocational rehabilitation therapist, and then disability management consultant. He works both in US and in Ghana. I practice solely in Ghana for now. So like we mentioned earlier on, our today's topic is on trauma bonding and then toxic relationship. So at the end of this presentation, we will look at what trauma bonding is. That is by zooming into the definition and then the psychological foundation of this. We also look at the warning signs and then the red flags to look out for. And then in our Ghanaian context, sometimes our own cultural belief limit us to certain things when it comes to trauma bonding and toxic relationship. We also look at the cycle of abuse. That is how the cycle perpetuates itself. And then how do you even break free from it when you realize you are caught in this web? So we'll talk about the steps towards healing and recovery. And then some support resources we have available in Ghana. When we talk of trauma bonding, first of all, as humans, we always want to form bond with other people, either for love, for support, or even for survival. Unfortunately, sometimes the bond we try to, get with other people may be mentally or physically abusive. And if you don't take time, the same person who claimed to love you, the same person who claimed to support you, or the same person you are looking out for survival will end up traumatizing you. This trauma bond can sometimes alternate with remorse and then making up. So when individuals tells you they are sorry, it won't happen again. I'm really, really sorry. It wasn't intentional. We easily tend to forget and assume that we go back to our usual relationship. Then sometimes remorseful behavior can make you feel grateful and reinforce the bond. So there are people who are so good in apologizing, the way, their body language, the way they will act out, you think that such a thing is not going to happen again. And that is where the trouble lies. Then this abused person feels loved, and then the abuser at some point feels that I'm doing my best for the one who is being abused, and the cycle tends to repeat itself. So what trauma bond is not and what it is. So sometimes, one, it is when you stay loyal to someone who keeps hurting you. You could see clearly that I'm in a relationship with Kwame, Kojo, Kofi. This person keeps on hurting you. I'm in love with Ama, Ekuya, Aku. This girl keeps on hurting you by sometimes her own doing, her words, her actions, but you could still feel that I can't let her go. That tells you that you are in a toxic relationship. Sometimes you feel addicted to the highs and lows. Oh, it's normal. She's moody. He's moody. You tend to accept that aspect of that being. And sometimes you even make excuses for their harmful behavior. Oh, as for this, my girlfriend, as for this, my wife, as for this, my husband, that's how he is. So that's how she is. Me, I've accepted him or her like that. You tend to make excuses for this unusual behavior. And then you even believe that they didn't mean it and you think you can fix it. So this is where the cultural challenges come in. But as we go deeper, we'll be looking at it more. Now, it comes to a situation where you be with a significant other, either your loved one, your girlfriend, somebody at work, and you feel that this person will criticize anything you do instead of talking nicely or instead of approaching you nicely. Their words are so discouraging that you think that no, this person does not help me. However, you still want to be in the same relationship. Sometimes you gain trust to the extent that you feel they cannot hurt you as you think. And trauma bonds can also be very manipulative. So the other person will manipulate you to their advantage. And you also give up and self-abandonment. People can let you feel that you are not important as you think you are. Without them, life cannot be possible for you. And you hear them sometimes make unusual statements like, you cannot live without me. Who are you when I'm absent in your life? Just so that you know that they are really present in whatever you do. This can really cause some psychological distress. You become so uneasy, you can't focus on anything. And as you move on with your relationship, it doesn't matter the number of years, the cycle keeps on repeating itself. Now, according to some researchers, they feel that trauma bonding is a deep emotional attachment. You are so deeply attached to this person that you can simply not do anything without them. And then you form this attachment to the abuser, and it's created through cycles of abuse. This person keeps on abusing you, yet you feel that no, I have to be with them based on the things they normally do for you. And this can lead to emotional manipulation. There are so many psychologists who have come with various forms of this trauma bonding. And some are saying that it's a form of psychological entrapment. What does it mean? The bond formed through fear. You are afraid of your husband, you are afraid of your wife, you are afraid of your girlfriend, to the extent that even if they leave home and they are coming, you feel that, hey, there is trouble. Meanwhile, you cannot let them go. Sometimes you also have hope that, okay, times are hard, things are not moving as expected. He or she is behaving the way she is because of one or two things. I believe that in future, things will change. And then this is maxed up with confusion because you don't know whether you are afraid of the person. You don't know whether you hope that things will change. And psychologists will tell you that this is a clear psychological entrapment and not love. The abused person becomes emotionally dependent on the abuser for relief from the very pain the abuser causes. So I happen to grow in a densely populated area, Jamestown to be specific, where we have this corner in our house there. Every evening you hear one or two people fighting. And as a young girl, sometimes you want to be a little bit inquisitive. So you'd be up there and be watching insult upon insult, throwing stones, beating. But the next morning, you see the same people who were fighting in the dark, holding each other's and laughing. So the question you ask yourself is, why this? This is where the psychological entrapment comes in, and not love. Another psychologist by the name Dr. Patrick in 1997 also saw that when we talk of trauma bonding, it is based on Stockholm syndrome research. For them, trauma bonding occurs when the abused person bond to the abuser as a survival. So I depend on this man for my survival. He pays my school fees. He helps me with home feeding. He assists me with utility. Occasionally, he gives me money in my pocket. I feel that because I'm surviving based on the things he does for me, I have to be with him. It is trauma bonding. If you don't take time psychologically, it will affect you in every dimension of your life. Others are also saying that trauma bonding is not a weakness. The truth is that the brain stresses response system, that is, we have chemical messengers in our brain that respond to when we go through stress. When you continuously go through these stresses, they create a bond. They feel that it is acceptable, it is normal, let me live with it. So this explains why a victim will struggle to live even when they know they are not in the right places, when they know better that this man, this woman, this girlfriend, this boyfriend, this relationship, this working relationship, this sibling is not good for me. But I cannot go because the brain itself has accepted this, and it will repeat in a cycle. Erica May once mentioned that when you look at the first picture, that is the trauma bonding picture, you can see two wounded hearts. Both of them are wounded. Meanwhile, they still want to bond. They still want to come together. They still want to live. They still want to be in a relationship. This is simply traumatic because at the end of the day, the presence of this person, yes, to some extent, will not make you so much excited, but because of the love, the survival, or whatever you need from that person, you tend to bond forcefully. And then the second image is also indicated that despite the thorns, despite the struggles, despite the bleeding, despite the cry, the pain, the unhealthy relationship both of them find themselves, they still want to be in a relationship. This is a clear example of trauma bonding. Now, the question we will ask ourselves is, what will cause this kind of traumatic bonding? So, this kind of challenges don't just come in a day. It builds gradually. Unfortunately, because of what we get out of it, we tend not to even ignore. But the first one is the intermittent reinforcement. Because it's a cycle and one victim keeps on receiving gifts from the abuser, they tend to see that, oh, the abuser gives them some affection randomly. If my husband beats me, when he's coming home the next day, he tries to get me a cloth. Sometimes he gets me nice slippers. That is when, if I have made some requests some years ago, that is when my husband will get it for me because he has abused me. So when they look at this random affection, they feel that no, they are very, very okay with that. And it makes the victim crave the good times and excuses the more. So in Ghana, sometimes he is the sweet man. Yes, my boyfriend is so sweet, but at the same time, he stinks, right? Other times, I fear him, but I keep hoping for that sweet version. I love him so much. I love her so much. If she's in her right frame of mind, there is a way she smiles. There is a way she makes me really feel like a man. She can satisfy me by all standard. But at the same time, when the bitter version of that person comes, it is terrible. So because of that intermittence, that in between awards or rewards that the one who is abused receives, it keeps on repeating itself. Then we have another cause, fear and perceived threat. So living under constant fear, we all know that it activates some survival instincts. Our brains that we have sometimes bond with the perceived source of safety. So even when the person is the threat like I will disgrace you before your family. This is a very common thing we see. There will be a fight in a relationship, and you hear a man or a woman telling the other person that if you don't take time, I will disgrace you. I will let everybody know the very things you've been doing. The things that you told me the last time that I shouldn't tell anybody, I will let people know. You see, that fear of that perceived stress will always let people cause this kind of trauma bonding. And then we have the neurochemical imbalance. So the abusers, we know when people go through stress, a lot of negative stress hormones are released. And when it continues constantly, people tend to live with it and accept with it. And then it becomes like you are addicted to something. So I'm addicted to the same person who causes pain in my life. And because of that one thing that he or she did some time back, which I was so grateful about, I cannot leave that person. Our brain pick this and then tend to accept it. Now, another cause is childhood trauma and attachment wounds. Most people grow up with parents who don't show them love, parents who don't show them appreciation, parents who don't even tell them how good they are. So when they grow up and they are in a relationship, and it turns out that the man or the woman can speak a particular language that makes you feel better, you tend to love this person. And because you didn't get it during your childhood days, you carry that trauma, that unresolved conflict ushers you into your adult life. And that if anybody puts in the slightest effort to give you that kind of leverage or advantage, you tend to fall for that person. So people who experience neglect or abuse in childhood may unconsciously seek familiar emotional patterns. And in Ghana, to be specific, many are raised to believe love must be earned through suffering. So there are simple statements like, you suffer to gain. A, if you don't plant, you will not reap. If you don't use, they said you reap what you sow. So if you sow beautifully, you will reap beautifully. If you don't invest in this love, you won't get any man loving you. It is very, very common in Ghana. And this makes toxic bonds feel completely normal. So even if they are killing you and you go back home to tell your relative, that person loves you. Look at all that he or she is doing for you. This small thing you are coming here to report. No, go and endure. It is very normal. And we have people who have also grown with attachment wounds. So we've seen people that at least they've been in generous relationship. At the end of the day, the man or the woman broke their heart without any better reason. So they've carried this attachment wound into another relationship, and they feel that you will have to pay for what my previous or ex-girlfriend or boyfriend did to me. Another cause to it is isolation and dependency. People are afraid to be lonely. People are afraid to be alone. And so abusers systematically cut off victims from friends. They know that if your friends are still around you, you will not see my worth. You will not see what I do for you. So they try to intentionally cut friendship of the people they abuse, especially family members or people who sometimes help them financially. So at a point, the victims will become totally your dependent. So you will depend solely on them for your emotions, physical, everything about you solely depend on them. And they derive gratification. They derive some excitement, some joy that, yes, I am responsible for everything. They can drive away all your good friends. I've seen marriages where husbands don't want any family member to even visit your home, let alone friends from work or schoolmates. They don't want any of them to come to you because they know that when they listen to the things you are going through in that relationship, it is likely that they will advise you or encourage you to leave. So in order to avoid that, then don't bring any friend or family member home. Another cause is our cultural and religious conditioning. So in Ghana, in Africa, we are made to believe we are made to have beliefs like marriage is forever. So far as you are married to this person, even if he or she is a monster, you have to endure it. You have to stay. because probably you have children with the same person. And so because of the children, you have to stay in this marriage. This is what our culture is saying. When you come to our religious practice, sometimes you are even made to understand that God will change him. When people are not willing to change and you are dying in a relationship, your church counselor, your church pastor, or your religious leader will tell you that, oh, gradually he'll be changing. Meanwhile, this person is killing you slowly until something happens. And we've been hearing stories of people committing suicide or sometimes even homicide just because they are in the wrong relationship. They can't simply come out because culturally it is not allowed to even talk more about it. Victims interpret their bond as a sacred duty rather than trauma. So you are told that so far as you are married, it is forever, it is sacred, nothing can break it. And you tend to see it as normal. Sometimes too, it keeps you trapped because of what? Sense of moral purpose. If I leave this marriage, if I leave this relationship, everybody will call me a failure. People might think I have a bad character. So let me just keep quiet and suffer. Others will also do suffering and smiling. So we have a lot of people pretending, faking that their relationships are working well. Now, what are the warning signs? What will let you know that this my relationship is not the best, or there are red flags that I simply have to pay attention to. So when you feel deeply happy with them, then crash them down the next moment. So 1 minute, oh, he's a king, he's my majesty, that's the queen of my heart, that's the love of my life, that's my soulmate, that's the only being we have so many accolades for them. Today, that person is your that. The next moment, hey, he's the wildest person I've ever seen. He's the beast. He's a monster. He's this. If you start seeing things like that in your relationship, you need to sit up. Then sometimes another thing too that you should know is isolation from loved ones. So if you are in a relationship where the other person is constantly complaining about your friends, if this person is not a witch, he's an opportunist. She's a womanizer. Don't be playing with these people. Don't entertain them. Don't pick their calls. They are evil. So they will try to do everything to discourage your friendship and even family ties. I don't want to see any family member in my home. Don't bring any of your children here. You see, when they do that, they isolate you from loved ones. She said, my friends are bad. They are bad influence on me. And my family members doesn't even understand. So at some point, if you have or you are in a relationship where one person always ensures that you have challenges with your friend, I think that you need to up your game. Then when you always defend the abuser, you make excuses for their bad behavior to others. Oh, as for my husband, he's not like that too. As for my wife, she's not like that too. But you see, once a while, women know they switch from one pole to the other. You tend to defend the abuser. You make excuses for their behavior to others. Oh, he only hates me because he's stressed from work, because, oh, this is our own private matter. And people can be so defensive. I remember I was attending to one case recently. You could see the bruises on the face. But this person was bold enough to say that, oh, occasionally, when we really want to make hot sex or we want to make hot laugh, after this, I really enjoy every section. So after our section, I start to really look at this thing very well. Is this normal? Is that what brings gratification to both of them? You see, this person is finding every means to defend the abuser. Then feeling of worthless alone. You feel you cannot function without them. People are in a relationship so tight that they feel that in the absence of the other person, life will be meaningful. Even though the relationship causes pain, your sense of self is tied to their approval. Without him, I am not. If I'm not there, he is not. So we feel worthless if we are alone. And we always want validation from these very people who are causing us pain. And then financial constraints. So they control access to money. You have instances where A wife will want to control every money husband receives. How much are you taking as a salary? This woman will always be going into your phone to know your account, to know how much you spend, what goes into this. Any money you make, she really wants to know what is happening. Other men will also seize their wife's ATM card and control their wife's money. What do you need this money for? I do everything for you. Let me have it. As and when you need it, I will give it to you. They try to control access to money. And this is very common. He gives me pocket money like a child. I have to beg for transport fare to work. There was a situation we were handling somewhere, and it's like they've been married for over 15 years. This man has never worked before. It's the woman who will go up and down to go and toil and bring the money, only for the man to share what, or to tell what the money will be used for. So let's use this for utility. Let's use this for school fees. Let me keep this one so that you can go, okay, when you work, I will charge. So that is the kind of life they've been living. At a point, the woman got tired and she feels that the only way out is to commit suicide. So that was when the woman came to us, and in our interaction with her, we saw that this is what was happening: financial control. She doesn't have that financial freedom to make any decision, even though she's working to make the money. Now let's come to our Ghanaian context, which I believe most of us are in Ghana. So our cultural norms and sometimes our societal expectation in Ghana can even make it harder for you to recognize that you are under trauma bond or you are in a toxic relationship. For example, is endure marriage. Marriage is hard. As a woman, sometimes during counseling, you'll be made to understand that marriage is so hard that if you don't try hard, you cannot survive. And this cultural pressure to stay married, regardless of the abuse, is killing a lot of women. So now you listen to TV, radio, and you can hear a lot of women activists fighting for fellow women who are not empowered. And then they are branded in a particular way just because culturally our society don't accept that. Elders may advise women to be patient or pray harder instead of leaving. Sometimes you could see clearly. Recently, there was a social media video of a man beating the wife naked in a compound house. What kind of relationship is this? What kind of love is this? And family members will tell you that regardless, stay instead of leaving. You have children with that person. So keep quiet and just be patient and keep on praying. And we are losing a lot of men and women through this trauma bonding and abusive relationship. Then we have bride price knocking. So in Ghana, some men or women feel that because this rite has been performed, you are automatically owing the person. You are mine because I have knocked to your family members that I want to marry you. It becomes a tool for manipulation. You listen to a lot of marital conflict and you realize that because of this, I have not done the right thing. They think they are owning you. Others will say, I've done knocking for over 10 years. I'm not ready to marry her because she's not a good man or he's not a good man. Despite this, you still stay in marriage. Sometimes family reputation and shame. So somebody like me, looking at my surname, there is so much pride in the name. And then for whatever reason, if things are not working as expected in my relationship, because my family name will be dented, because that family name is at stake, I have to keep quiet. No, they will tell you that whatever you do, you are bringing shame to the family. In our family, we don't divorce, so keep quiet and stay peacefully. We don't want you to be the first person to come and break this family record. Nobody has gone and come back, so you can't also go and come back. So in this regard, victims stay silent just to protect their family honor, especially in high-profile and religious households. You are the daughter of the priest. You are the daughter of the Osofo. You are the daughter of this. You are the son or daughter of this. And because of that, you cannot have your way. So stay silent in your marriage and then live peacefully. Sometimes silence among men. So in a Ghanaian or African setting, men are made to keep quiet and suffer. They will tell you that men don't cry. So you can see a relationship where a woman is manipulating a man, abusing him, insulting him, fighting him, sometimes to the extent of beating him. But the question is, can a man like that walk into any service center to report that my wife is beating me? No. You become a laughing stock. Oh, Bema Kotobonku, Ujina Hona Ma Ebo. You know, people will even make fun of you because you've come confidently to report that your wife is beating you. And surprisingly, in Africa, in Ghana, we have some hardcore women who can beat men mercilessly. And men are struggling in relationship like that. But because of our culture, you need to keep quiet and suffer. And then we have religious justification. So some abusers will quote scriptures to justify control. The Bible says women must submit. Churches may counsel couples to stay together despite abuse. So because of submission, they are beating you, they are killing you, they are chasing you with cutlass, they are burning your belongings, they are destroying everything you have, but you have to be submissive and be respectful. So this religious justification will let you keep quiet and suffer till you can't take it any longer. Either you kill yourself or the other person kills you. And then you come to community pressure. So your neighbors, your in-law, your friends, who always put pressure on you as a victim to return back to the abusers. So community involvement can be both a resource at the same time a barrier. Hey, nobody does that. Oh, see how beautiful your marriage is. Your husband is driving a good car. See the beautiful car your wife is driving. As a man, just keep quiet and live peacefully. No, this community pressure is really making it difficult for abusers to even come out. And they are just staying in silence and ready to die. The unfortunate thing is our teenage girls, our teenage boys, those in the tertiary institutions. Sometimes when you listen to the community pressure they go through, it is just terrible. Now, this is the cycle of abuse. How does it start? So it starts with tension. You see, there will be fights, there will be stress. This will be part of our daily life and other points of conflict. So the victim may attempt to reduce tension by complying with the abuser. So obey before complain. You have no right of yours to even talk back when things are not as expected. And this tension will build. You'll be in, you will swallow. At a point, you get tired. When you are full, then that is where you escalate and then start talking anyhow. And then the abusive incidents. So if you are tired, in Akan, there is a proverb or adage that says that "Insio tai aponchnenia oje wo." It means when the frog takes in so much water, it will definitely voice out. So when the tension builds up, when you talk unnecessary, when you worry somebody, when you stress somebody, at one point, when they get tired of you, that is where they will escalate and do what is not expected. Then it comes to the honeymoon phase. We all know what honeymoon is, the sweetness of it. So, babe, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I behaved this way. It is not going to happen again. You see, it was just out of control. I'm trying to work at this character of mine. Please have mercy on me. You know you are all that I have. Anyway, the last time you ask of this, I've gotten it for you. So at that moment, you, the victim, will start looking at it again. What is it? Anyway, he's the love of my life, so let me accept it. A man, your girlfriend misbehaved, comes to you. That same night, she gives you a very hot one time, a style that you've never experienced before. And when you think of that, the kind of dopamine it releases into your brain, it puts smiles on you and you tend to forget everything. Because they tell us that the way to a man's heart is through your stomach and your under. So if I satisfy you stomach-wise and under-wise, then everywhere is fine. So that's where the honeymoon phase comes in. Then it progresses to the calm phase. So at the calm phase, the relationship enters a period of calmness where the abuser stops or slow. The abuser may continue to ask for forgiveness and then expect that the victim forgives him or her. Now, like I mentioned, the cycle keeps on continuing. So after the honeymoon phase, what else? Calmness. After the calmness, then the tension will come again. One thing happens, he sees you receiving a call or she sees you laughing with somebody on the phone, and then there is repetition. What do you mean? You started this thing again? I don't like that. Takes your phone and smash. So one thing I've also observed recently through counseling section, especially with this relationship issue, is most people come in have phones destroyed. What happened? They will tell you that the person just collected my phone, smashed it, and this is the evidence. They walk to the hospital for medical report. And this is where when this medical report goes to the police station, the abuser is made to pay and then compensate. And then after the compensation, they think life is okay and they go back again. So an example of a Ghanaian, honeymoon stage. Oh, after my man beat me, after the woman beat me, he bought me fufu and rice soup and he said he loves me. I don't remember the last time he mentioned, I love you to you. But you see, last night he said it. And I think that I have to forgive him. To err is human and to forgive is divine. You try your best to defend that person. But the next week, the same thing repeats itself over and over again. So how trauma bonding feels inside. People who go through this trauma bonding, what happens within them? So those are a few write-ups that I received from people that, at some point I interacted with. So in Accra, a 28-year-old lady told me, I know he's wrong, but I cannot imagine life without him. When he's nice, he's the best person in the world. So such a person cannot leave this man. My wife humiliates me privately, but I can't simply stop loving him. So in Ghana, we know that men do not talk about these things because nobody will even believe them. And then another one from Tema. She controls all the money. When I buy something for myself, she comes angry for days. But I love her, so there is nothing I can do than to stay. Another one from Cape Coast. My family told me I was lucky someone married me. I believed it, and that is why I accepted everything. So you see, these are people who are going through trauma bonding, yet they are in this toxic relationship. So why do people stay instead of breaking the victim blaming myth? In my earlier discussion, I mentioned neurochemical imbalance. So as humans, we have messengers in our brain that prompt us, do this, don't do that. And then when it comes to trauma bonding, the same thing happens. So because of that intermittent reward, because of that goodies the victim received from the abuser, the neurotransmitter in the brain, the aspect called dopamine, will always spike. So the brain craves for reunion. So at every point, that neurotransmitter, that dopamine releases so that it's in readiness, waiting to receive something, just like addiction. So your brain is even ready for reunion. So when the fight comes, the brain quickly tells you, oh, relax, definitely something will come. So take it easy. And then in that craving, you are waiting for that. Sometimes there is fear of abandonment. So why don't they just leave? Those are questions people ask. Fear, that deep fear that no one else will love them. And a lot of people feel that way. If I leave this man, madam, I'm not going to get any man who is going to love me like that. Sometimes we feel, and our adage will tell you that it is just few people who understand this principle, that if you are afraid to leave, you'll be there and you die. But if you take a step, it is likely that you get a better person. So that fear of abandonment, abusers deliberately destroy your self-esteem to create that dependency. They make you feel so inadequate of yourself. They make you feel powerless. They make you feel useless of yourself, that you cannot be on your own without them. Sometimes with children, who will take care of this, my children? If I leave, how am I going to survive? So that children in the family or children in that relationship tend to bond them. But people tend to forget that children are passengers in marriage. They will grow and they will leave. So what happens when they leave? It's a question we all need to answer. Other questions too is economic dependence. So many Ghanaian women have no income or they have no access to family money. Living means destitution. Where will I go? I don't have what it takes to rent an apartment. I cannot even buy clothing for myself, let alone pay utility bill. So those are few statements people feel and make to the extent that they have to, despite the fact that they need to live. So I've also talked about religious and cultural duty and that issue of nowhere to go. If I leave his home now, if I leave her home now, there is no place to accommodate me. And truly, in Ghana, I happened to attend one of these domestic violence workshop, and it was about, they were discussing policies or what can be done or essential services for victims of domestic violence. And the number one problem was lack of shelter. So when somebody is seriously being abused, if the person should leave home, where is the person going? I've seen cases where men, women have sacked their significant others at dawn. Leave my room, leave my home. And because of I don't have anywhere to go, they tend to come back to be beaten till nothing can be done. And sometimes to expensive legal processes. Those of you who have engaged the services of our lawyers, we know that is no joke. So the fear of me not having the money to pursue anything legal will let them do what? Stay. And family pressure to return, making living practically difficult. Even when you move to your family home, they will sack you to go back because you are not the first person going through such a thing. So that issue of nowhere to go will let people still continue to be victims. How is this impacting on our mental and physical health? So mentally, there is always depression and anxiety. I don't think anybody will be happy to always being beaten. Constantly, you are being beaten. They are always beating you. You won't be happy. They've lowered your self-esteem. There is persistent sadness. There is worry. There is hopelessness. There is always complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So you are always depressed. You are always traumatized. The thought of what happened yesterday will always bring flashbacks, will always bring emotional dysregulation. You may be happy. The moment you think of, hey, I've closed from work, I'm going home to meet this man again. And then quickly, your emotions will quickly change. There is also cognitive distortions. So you don't even know which one is normal and which one is abnormal. So you tend to normalize the abuse. It has become part of you. So you accept it. Then we also have distorted self. You look at yourself and then you look at who you were once and you think that, no, I am way, way below standard. So this is where they want to keep up appearances and pretend to be what they are not. There is dissociation. So this is a feeling where you detach from reality as your coping mechanism. Well, I have to accept him or her like that. Let me stay like that because of some papers I need to get, because of some goodies this woman did to me some years back, because of whilst I wasn't working, she was the one going up and down. Let me just sit, keep quiet and suffer. You tend to feel detached from your true self. Then we have suicidal ideations. So mentally, if you think that you can't go back to your family, you can't go and talk to friends, you don't have what it takes to report legally, there is nothing holding you. The only thing that comes to mind is to commit suicide, because with that one, you won't pay any price. You just take it and you are good to go. All those are mental health impact on just because you are staying with the wrong person. So physically, what happens? There is chronic and constant headache, stomach problems, and heart issues. You always have the severe headache with burning sensations. You have stomach problems. Today, your heart. Tomorrow, you're here. You come to the hospital. They do all the medical tests. And surprisingly, everything tends to be negative. You also have sleep disorders. So you go to bed, you have all the comfort in your home, but you not get that quality sleep. That's 6 to 8 hours sleep. You will not, because of fear of what is going to happen next. Then we have social withdrawal, so isolation from community and support system. I have had a section where a woman said that the immediate neighbors, according to the husband, are witches and opportunists. And because of that, you don't need to talk to anybody. So when this woman is at home and the husband is at home, the character or lifestyle is different. When the man is absent, the lifestyle is also different. So it means that there is absolute social isolation. You don't go to people, you don't feel comfortable with people, especially when the abuser is around. And if it turns that you are a student, you go to school, definitely there is going to be difficult academic challenges. So you cannot concentrate, you cannot focus, there will be absenteeism. If you are not stable in mind, how are you going to learn in class? It won't just work. All those are also physical challenges that you face just because you are trauma bonding and in the wrong relationship. In Ghana, mental health stigma means many victims are labeled mad or told to fast and pray rather than receiving proper psychological support. So people struggling in this, they tell you to pray, to fast, and you will have your peace of mind. How do you navigate through? What can you do to run away or to save yourself from this trauma bonding? You have to be bold enough to end the relationship if you think it's not helping. You have to set clear boundaries. Don't come to me. I don't need you. Everything you have done for me, I appreciate, but at this moment, I don't need you. Sometimes you also have to face your fear. Say as it is. If it's not good for you, be bold enough and tell the person enough is enough so that you can save yourself. Sometimes you also have to validate yourself. Who are you? You are building the image of God. You are a man, you are a woman. You have strength. You have good things in you. You can do so many things through Christ who strengthens you. Whatever your belief in, you can use that to affirm and validate your being so that you can move on and feel loved. You can also talk to a therapist. So this is where Neurovoc Africa comes in. We are a mental health service. We are an organization that will listen to you from the beginning and ensure that we get you proper solution. At a point, if you have to grieve, go through the moment. So in grieving, you go through 5 processes. This is where you deny. Did it happen to me? Why should such a person go through such a thing? It's denial. And at a point, you become angry. Why me? It shouldn't be that. I'm going to destroy that person. I'll not leave that person. And then you come to bargaining. If I have done this to myself, I don't think I would have gone through such a relationship. Then depression sets in. And finally, you come to acceptance. So if you are grieving, grieve and get to acceptance stage to free yourself. Dive into a passion project. In my counseling section, there is one question I ask people. Surprisingly, a lot of people can't give me straightforward answer than to let them go and come back. So I ask, what makes you happy as an individual? And people can't even tell. Those who are able to tell me to, you listen to what makes them happy, and you could see that they are around somebody. What it means is that their happiness is tied towards somebody. So, oh, my girlfriend makes me happy. I feel very happy when he's around. I feel so happy when she's this, when she's that. You need to identify that things that makes you happy and dive into a passion project. Things that you are so excited about that even if they are not paying you anything, you can do it with so much ease. And practice yoga, relaxation, flexing. Making time for yourself, admiring nature. Some of these things will help you to be able to overcome some of this traumatic relationship. Now, how do you break free? What is the path to healing? Where do you go to if you stop? So first of all, you need to acknowledge the abuse. So the first thing is to name it. Yes, Gloria is my abuser. This is what she does, and I'm not comfortable with it. So first, you name it, and then the abuser could include emotional, verbal, financial, or sometimes even physical harm. It is not just how relationships are, but it could be a specific thing within a relationship. So you need to acknowledge and name it. And then tell someone you trust. So in life, everybody should have one significant person in his or her life that when you are going through difficult moments, you can go very open to. You can go naked to. You don't need to polish. You don't need to be diplomatic about it. You go raw because you have confidence in that person. You confide in that person, and you know that this person is not going to judge me and let me feel so bad. So you speak to somebody you trust. And then you have a safety planning. So in situations or in instances where I have to leave and move out of a particular home that I'm being abused, what do I do? Plan your exit carefully. So know where you go next, what documents you need, and who can help you move. So I keep on telling people that you need to have a miscellaneous account where everybody fails, that account will not fail you. And seek professional support. So Neurovoc Africa and Samsol are there to help. So when you knock on our door, we would help you to navigate through the healing path. It's a journey. So gradually, you will get to your destination. And then rebuild your identity. So reconnect with who you were before the relationship. Every one of us here was somebody yesterday. We are somebody today, and we hope to be somebody tomorrow. So rebuild your identity, who you want to become. Start working towards it. Reconnect with who you were before the relationship. You were a happy, light, warm, beautiful-hearted person. Pursue your interests. Start building friendship, and then recover. You try to rediscover your worth once again. And then community and peer support. So this is where Lionism comes in. Lions are social organizations that individuals join. So they identify challenges in society and solve them. Connect to one of them. Be a member, because you tend to meet a lot of people through your interaction. If there are survivors, if there are people who have gone through and have done well, let them be a model of hope. Look at them. What did they do? What worked for them? What didn't work for them? Look for those people and learn from them. In Ghana, we have a lot of women group and faith communities that can offer non-judgmental support when you frame your story very well. So look out for them and then be with them. Now, all of us here, how do we even support a loved one? If it happens that you are not the victim, but you know somebody who is going through this, what do? Believe them without judgment. We are quick to judge. We are so quick when we hear stories. So just believe what the people tell you without judging them. You listen more than you speak, because at this moment, they want somebody to pour out to. So you don't interrupt them when they are talking, but rather listen. And then help them access professional help. I believe that after these sections, our contact will be given. So if somebody genuinely needs help, you can get through to us to offer that support. Keep their confidence unless they are in, immediate danger. Just help them to still be very confident of themselves. Remind them of their feeling and let them know that their feeling is valid. Understand how you feel. Don't worry. Let's do A, B, C, and D, and gradually you'll be okay. Offer practical support. So if you have a safe space, keep them there. If you have a means of transport, help them. If you can take care of their children, help them do that. And then be patient. Living time, we know that living takes time and multiple attempts. So let's be patient with them. We shouldn't rush them. We know that because of what they've gained in those relationships, it will be difficult. So give them time. I have engaged people who you could see clearly that they are dying, but they tell you that, I have to look for a place. And genuinely, as a counselor, you don't even have the place to put them there. So you need to be patient. They come the next time is a pro max of what they came with, but still be patient. What do we avoid? We shouldn't say, just leave, or why do you still stay? But we should rather be calm. Don't contact the abuser on their behalf. Then you think you are the Goliath of the family. So you quickly go to the abuser and talk anyhow to them. No, it is not too right. Use the right approach so that you get them at the right time. Don't share their situations without consent. Hey, yeah, man, recently she came and told me that the husband, hey, do you know that Kofi said we shouldn't share their situations if they have confided and poured to us. We shouldn't pressure them to leave before, or we shouldn't also use scriptures or culture to minimize the abuse. Somebody is dying and you are quoting Bible. They are killing somebody and you are giving memory verse instead of helping that person. So yes, we are all Christians. We all have a religious background, but let's be practical to help them solve their problems. And then when they are at peace, we can quote our memory verses to encourage them. We shouldn't abandon them if they return to the abuser. You've gone back to this wicked person. Don't come to me again when you are in trouble. No, we shouldn't abandon them. We should keep on talking to appeal to their conscience. And gradually, they will come to their senses one day. Don't make it about your feeling or discomfort. So if you're listening to them, don't let them know that, yes, even though you're empathetic, don't be talking anyhow, because those are people once closer to them and it's a situation that has happened. So they have come to you. So don't make it about your feeling or discomfort for them. What are the support sources we have in Ghana? So police station is everywhere. When you see people go through that, when they confide in you, help them to get through to DOFSU. Gender Center for Empowering Development is also there. We have the Mental Health Authority, which also provide mental health access and can connect victims to trauma counselors. We have the ACT Foundation, we have domestic violence, and then we have Neurovoc Africa. We are the champions of this talk this evening. We are mental health aspects with various specialty that will attend to you. We have our email, our website there. Our email address is also there. Our contact details will follow so that if you want to engage us, you engage us peacefully. All we want you to know is that you are not alone. Healing is not a sign of weakness. The fact that you have gone through such a thing doesn't mean that you are a failure. It is just a situation. So we need to be mindful and help each other to live peacefully. Thank you so much for attending. Those are references for the webinar. Thank you for your attention and question time. Thank you. Managing abusive relationship when children are involved. We know that the presence of children normally change everything. So either in decision making, you need to consider them. And first of all, because of the genuine love you have for children, it is very necessary to explain things to them depending on their ages. Because the truth is that children in abusive homes typically, I don't know how to say it, but children in abusive home tend to exhibit it when they are with their fellow mates in school. They witness mothers insulting fathers, fathers beating mothers. They see them to be very normal. So the seeing, the hearing, the violent talk, the hitting, those children go through traumatic stages. Aside exhibiting what they see at home, in school, or with friends, they also go through a lot of trauma because they don't understand what is going on. And they learn to cope with those things. Even though it is false, it is not the best, but they learn to cope with them. Another thing too is that children tend to see abuse as normal. So when they grow up, they live that kind of life. If daddy beats mommy, why can't I beat my wife? Mommy will cry, but at the end of the day, you see them happy. So they tend to normalize abuse. And then there's also divided loyalty. If parents don't take very good care of the children, there is divided loyalty. Some love mommy, others love daddy. They don't know who to support. They are torn apart between their mommy and daddy. And they don't even know who to blame during comfort. And then sometimes too, there is shame and secrecy. Don't tell anyone what happens at home. So this is where maybe a son sees mommy crying after daddy has beaten mommy, or a daughter sees daddy crying after mommy has beaten daddy, or vice versa. And then that's shame and secrecy. Don't tell anybody what happens at home. These sentences will teach the children that their feelings must be hidden. Because what you are going through, nobody must hear that. So in situations where children are in, try to exclude them from the abuse. You have to act maturely, even though what you are doing is not right. But you don't need to let them see because of what they are building. Unfortunately for us, children tend to learn from what they see more than what they hear. So you doing for them to see prints in their brains better and clearer than you telling them not to do. So parents in abusive relationship must be very careful. Even if it comes to worst case scenario, let the children excuse you, go to grandma or go to Auntie Aku, I'm coming, and you have your fight so that you exclude them from it. In cases where you cannot, please, whoever can report to DOFSU or any legal aid should do so. Because it gets to a point where children cannot dictate for themselves, where children cannot make certain decisions for themselves, and they tend to suffer. So please, in extreme cases, let's involve the right officers to come in and support so that the children can enjoy their childhood days and live as better adults in future. Michael, you can also come in with this question.
With kids, it's really, really important that you consider a number of things. Their exposure to the violence, to the abuse happening, because it could have a lasting psychological effect on the kids. They are going to grow up believing that that is a normal thing, or
Okay.
that is how they also need to love or show love to others. It's either they become the abuser or they become the victims, and they normalize it. And that becomes something that to them is normal. So, and then also, like you talked about, complex trauma. That kid begins to show serious signs of psychological issues in school with his friends. Even
Are we doing harm himself or herself when you leave? All right. So first of all, you should know that we have our individual lives to live, and you are not created mandatory for somebody. It's a relationship you find yourself in. So if it is not helping you, first of all, you report to a significant other or anybody closer to both of you, so that in future, if it happens that something happens in your absence, they know that you informed someone. So another thing too you can do is to transfer your responsibilities. That is, if you leave, whatever happens to me is your fault. So this single sentence keeps a lot of people trapped, and it refrains them from leaving. Please, like I mentioned earlier on, it is just a relationship. Even if it is married, so far as it is toxic, you have the right to leave. Secondly, you should also know that things will escalate at some point in time. So again, you involve third party in that relationship. Because I've sat in sections where people have said it openly that if he leaves me, I'm going to kill myself and write that he killed me. This is a threatening statement. You report to the police or any legal personnel to note it so that they will know that is an intentional statement from that person or intentional act just because the person is losing you. Michael, is there anything you want to add on?
Yes, I mean, when it comes to that, is also a form of psychological manipulation. It's just a tactic used by the abuser to prevent the individual from going. Like you highlighted, there's no need to take on that responsibility of being emotionally or psychologically responsible for someone's harm they caused themselves. So the best way to navigate that is through therapy, and then also making sure that you are documenting everything that is happening, because like you said, you do not want a situation whereby you are blamed for someone's harm to themselves. So those are very, very important pieces to. Also, there are certain times you need to, that is also where boundary is really important, to draw the boundary and keep on reinforcing that. If you cause harm to yourself, it's not because of me. You're causing it because of you. It's because you are deciding to do this. So put the ownership on the individual. Let them understand their decisions that they are making are theirs and not yours. Once you reinforce that a couple of times, that individual will begin to understand that that is no longer going to be a tool they are able to use against you. But I'm not going to advise you to say, go do it, right? You do not say that. You do not say, okay, go kill yourself, or okay, go harm yourself. Don't do that. But explain to that individual that if they are to do such a thing, they are doing that because that is what they are opting to do. So put the ownership on them to think their decision. Yes.
So please, if you want to really break free from a toxic relationship, first of all, you have to acknowledge that there is an abuse and you name the type of abuse. So is it emotional? Is it verbal? Is it financial? Is it physical harm? You should be able to name that particular abuse and acknowledge that such a thing is existing. Secondly, you speak to someone you trust. So I mentioned earlier on that each and every one of us should have at least one significant person in our lives that we trust. It shouldn't necessarily be biological. There are sweet, good friends that you can really confide in and pour out your heart to. So get that one person who will not judge you, who you can open up with, sorry, without fear of being judged. And then tell the person what you are going through. And then have a safety plan. So especially if you are staying with somebody and you don't have anywhere to go, you need to have a safety plan. Have some money saved somewhere so that it can take you to your next point or your next movement. Because if there is so much danger, you need to find an exit plan, and you need to plan this carefully. Know where to go, know what documents to even take, and then where to move for your next help. Then the next thing you can do is to seek professional support. So sometimes, because of the trauma you have gone through, you need a trauma-informed counselor who will help you to overcome these traumatic events and situations you have gone through, who will help you to go through your healing processes successfully. Then from there, you rebuild your identity. You were somebody before you came into the relationship. So you have to go back, reconnect to that self, and then start building. Pursue things that interest you. Build, build your new friendship. Rediscover your self-worth. You were somebody before the relationship. So try to identify that thing. And then finally, community and peer support. We can't live like island. We are created to be relational. So identify some peers, identify some peers who have gone through this kind of trauma, who has gone through this type of abuse and are survivors. You can use them as models of hope. So you learn from them, you live with them, and so you can go through your journey successfully. Those are people who will not judge you for what you have gone through. So identify them either in a form of community or peer support. I hope the person is answered. This is the way you can stay or break free from these challenges. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Gloria. And then we have another one. At what point do you exit an abusive or toxic relationship?
All right. So the ideal time to leave is before the abuser escalates. You know, when there is a situation at home, you know when it is escalating. The ideal time is just to leave before that person escalates. But a realistic time is when the victim has a safety. So you know that as I'm exiting, as I'm leaving, I have a source of support. I have a place to go. I have a resource that I can chance on so that at least I can stay peacefully. You should also leave when there are non-negotiable situations. So you could see that somebody has taken a cutlass, somebody has taken a gun, somebody has threatened you with something. You have to quickly leave, especially when there is physical violence that has occurred before and you know the outcome. You have to quickly move. When the abuser also made explicit death threats, I'll kill you before you leave me. You must always take some of these things seriously. When you can also see that children have been physically harmed, you can see that sometimes the abuser cannot even abuse you physically, but he or she extends it to the children. Quickly, you bring in the legal aids or DOFSU to come in. You can also leave when you fear your life, especially when the person threatens you that I will make sure I end your life today. This is a serious statement. You shouldn't sit to even wait for the next minute to happen. You can also move when the abuser, have access to any weapon. So if you don't take time, I'll take a knife, I'll take a gun, or whichever. And then you can also leave when the abuser threatens you with sexual violence. There was a case I attended to where the abuser had rough sex with the victim. When they were brought to me and I was asking, the man told me that, how can you go and sleep in another man's house? If it's because of sex, I'll make sure I have sex with you till I break you down. And so that is what exactly the abuser did. So if there is sexual violence, you should also quickly do what? Leave. When the abuser has also attempted to harm themselves or others in front of you or children, the moment you see that, you shouldn't negotiate. So these are all non-negotiable situations that don't need a second thought. Straight away, you have to leave. Thank you. Neurovoc number is 059 77 6331. You can reach out for support, be it individual, family, or organization. We run a hybrid model, meaning that we can still have sections at the comfort of your home. There may not be any need to walk into our facility. You can just be at home and we offer our counseling services. It is super affordable. So please reach out to us. And if you have an organization and would want to engage any mental health practitioner, you can equally call us to engage with them. So we run EAP, that is Employee Assisted Programs, where we help you to assess the mental health status of employees. We know that when employees are very well, your productivity will equally be high and you can make more and better profits. But if your employees are not in good mental health, then you should know that your organization will someday break loose. So pay attention to your employees today, and they will also pay attention to your work tomorrow. We are open for every services to help humanity. Thank you.
So when it comes to financial abuse, it's also clear boundaries that helps. So if you know exactly what you need the finances for, making sure that you are being very clear and budgeting and making sure that you are communicating very clearly with this individual that these are things money is needed for. Also, in areas that they are responsible for, not making up for them is going to be important. Making sure that you are holding their hands to the fire, meaning that If let's say it's shared bills at home, if they are not paying the electricity, you're not trying to go and pay it to save them is going to be important. Make sure that if they do not pay, both of you are going to experience what? No electricity. It's his responsibility. Let them experience that. So making them accountable, helping them to understand that there's consequences for every action or inaction they do. They do not do or they do, right? Is going to be important. But also being very clear that these are things you've taken responsibility for, and these are things that you need them to. If there's a need to help them to either because they do not have a job, or then help them to find jobs, help them to be responsible, right? So those are going to be some of the things you can do. But it is really important that you make it very clear to them why certain things are supposed to be the way they are. So you do not take on that responsibility, because if you keep on taking on that responsibility, then that person does not see the need to try. So at that point, you are the one enabling them. It is not that they do not want to, you are making it that they do not need to make the effort. So I hope the way I understand, I explained it makes sense.
Okay, so let me also add to this. I've come to realize that sometimes some men are financially abusive because of the family they grew up from. There are men who naturally saw their mothers do everything for them. And when they grow up and they marry, they tend to see the other woman to be or play such roles in their lives. However, when the abuse is so much on you, you need first of all to recognize the signs of financial abuse. Where exactly is it coming from? Is it that he wants to control every household money and refuse to give access? There are people like that. Is it that he's forcing the partner to account for every expense? That maybe when he gives you money to buy something, he really wants to know the nitty-gritties of the money he has given to you. Is it that he's preventing the partner from working to earn money because he knows that if you are empowered, you'll be strong in the house and would want to break free and take certain decisions on your own? Is it that he's accumulating debt in the partner's name? So there are instances where people will accumulate debt in the name of the partner. Oh, my partner will come and pay, so please don't worry. Is it that he's also refusing to contribute to essential households, just like Michael explained? If yes, after recognizing these patterns, what do? You have to establish some financial boundaries. Sit him or her down. Let him know. If it's separate account you need to have, please do have. If it is necessary, you have a joint account that will identify and pay certain things at home to, you need to do that. If you need to keep personal financial records and documents, you do that. I've had sections where a husband asked the wife to keep record of everything. So they were able to track their spending from January 1 to December 31st, and they saw what they spend, cash in, cash out. If you have to do that, you do that. If you have to clearly state what financial responsibility each partner should handle, you also have to do that. With these financial boundaries, at least it will help you to control the exploitation and then some unacceptable behaviors of this particular person you may be dealing with. Sometimes you need to strengthen your financial independence. So what do? Secure employment. So that if your husband refuses to give money, or if your wife refuses to give money for a good cause, you have what it takes to also do what? Solve that problem. Sometimes you need to save small amounts of money, just so that when there are emergencies in life, you will be able to do what? Help. And then learn budgeting and financial planning. So Michael mentioned it. There must be budget at home. You know that you are not just spending, but you have a budget and you are spending within a particular capacity. If all this fails, then you need a professional to come in to be able to help you so that you solve these problems. I believe with this, we have answered your question. Thank you.